Welcome to the shit show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, hey, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, boulder dash poppycock.
I forgot about that ending. I should probably trim that off. But anywho, hello to Putin's cat and hello to Miss Frosty. I decided today I was going to vent some news headlines because last night I got into a political argument with somebody. And there's nothing worse than getting into a political argument with somebody who not only has no idea what they're talking about, but then when you try to show them, refuse to see it. And they create all these mental gymnastics to try to somehow explain it away, you know? Like, one of their issues, just an example, one of their issues was, when 9/11 happened, the Palestinians were dancing. I'm like, anything like the dancing Israelis? He goes, that didn't happen. I'm like, I can show you. And he was having no bit of it. And I'm like, okay, so if you can hate one of them for dancing, couldn't you hate the other for dancing too? Hello, Daniel. And then when I told him how they fired upon the USS Liberty, he'd be like, oh, that was an accident. How is that an accident? Our naval ships all have huge American flags on them. You can't miss them. The International Space Station would have been able to fucking see it. Like, that's not a fucking accident. Anyway, it was fucking ridiculous. And then his idiot buddy was like, fuck the Palestinians. And I said, fuck both of y'all. And I left. Usually I don't lose my shit like that, but when 2 people think they're going to gang up on me, nah, my guy. So I decided that I was going to vent and bitch about stuff. So anyway, a little hairball. My adult sippy cup. Oh, that's so weird because I actually have I have a screenshot of an article that explained it too. When did he post that? That's hilarious. It's like he and I think alike in a weird way. But I mean, like, timing wise. Because, hold on a second. I stumbled across an article. Where's my screenshots? Screenshots. Screenshot. Oh, yes. Apparently that was, this morning. Okay, apparently I found the article this morning. It's on his community page. Ah, nice. But yeah, it was at 10:47 a.m. And yeah, it explains what happened. And basically, somebody was, I guess, trying to hype people up. And one lady was even offered some cake to look happy and joyous. And as soon as it was done, she just turned around and kind of walked off, And she was like, yeah. And then when some of the people saw themselves on TV, they were pissed. Because they didn't know that the footage of them smiling, being like this, was going to be used to accuse them of that. It was crazy. I was like, holy fuck. That's such a crazy setup. Yeah, if you want to post it in the, like, if it's, I don't know, can it be posted in chat? Maybe. Anywho. Now, let me go to my YouTube on here so that way I keep an eye on the chat. I'll turn that down because I don't need to fucking hear myself. Ugh. All right, there we go. Although that's kind of small, but I'll try to see it. Hey. All right. Share screen. Okay. We will just jump right on in. Oh, there we go. I forgot a step there for a second. I was like, oh, God. All right. So I'm sure everybody's heard about this. It says Yahya Sinwar threw a stick at a drone just before death, according to Israeli video. But I have a hard time believing that's actually Sinwar. I think we have another situation of Osama bin Laden, where they claim they killed him, and then before anyone could get a proper ID on the guy, he's buried in the ocean, just tossed overboard. And I feel like we've got that. For one, I feel like Yahya Sinwar's body's a little thicker than this, a little shorter. This guy, this like the length of the arms and thinness, this looks to be someone who might be thinner and taller. It is hard to tell, obviously. Let's see if we can find a better picture somewhere. That's weird. It should be lots of that. Let's try it again. Sometimes you gotta ask it nicely a couple of times. Related content. It's not really showing other pictures like this. It should be. Fucking bizarre. Yeah. Well, okay. So either way, the pictures I've seen of this that are like clear do not look like they could be Sinwar. And there seems to be a lot of photo edit stuff running around, making the eyes look like a very young man in that. Because eyes really show the age, especially if you don't have any like, cosmetic surgery or any of that shit. Anyway, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was tracked by an Israeli mini drone as he lay dying in ruins in a building. He's not laying down dying, he's sitting there, but okay. In a building in southern Gaza, and filmed him slumped in his chair covered in dust, according to the video released by Israeli authorities on Thursday. Keep all of this in mind. As the drone hovered by, the video showed him throwing a stick at it in an apparent act of desperation. I would call that more defiance, but whatever. After an intense manhunt that had lasted more than a year, the Israeli troops that killed Sinwar were initially unaware that they had caught the country's #1 enemy after a gun battle on Wednesday, which is weird because another report said that it was hand grenades involved, and he supposedly had hand grenades and was throwing it at them, and they fired a tank at him. Well, fired a missile from a tank, or whatever the fuck tanks shoot. Artillery shell. Intelligence services have been gradually restricting the area where he could operate, the military said on Thursday, after dental records, fingerprints, and DNA testing finally provided final confirmation of Sinwar's death. Apparently, they had his DNA on record. Word has it that Israel did brain surgery on him a while back. I feel like there's so much MK Ultra that could have happened to somebody while they're having brain surgery, but whatever. But unlike other militant leaders tracked down and killed by Israel, including Hamas military commander Mohammed Diaf, I actually didn't know they got him. I mean, who knows? Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Because I heard they were looking for him for a long time, but I hadn't actually heard they got him. But all right, so Mohammed Diaf, who was killed in an Israeli strike on July 13th, the operation finally killed Sinwar, was not a planned targeted strike. So, yeah, keep in mind, not a planned targeted strike or an operation carried out by elite commandos. Okay. Instead, officials said he was found by infantry soldiers from the Bashrak Brigade. I don't know how to pronounce that. A unit that normally trains future unit commanders. The soldiers were searching an area in the Tal al-Sultan area of Gaza on Wednesday, where they believe senior members of Hamas were located. So if they could do that, then why wipe out entire villages? That seems dumb. The troops saw three suspected militants moving between buildings and opened fire. So they saw some guys from a distance and just started opening fire. They didn't even know who they were, but okay. Leading to a gunfight, during which Sinwar escaped into a ruined building. According to accounts, the Israeli media, tank shells and missiles were fired at the building. On Thursday, the military released footage from a mini drone that shows Sinwar badly wounded in the hand, sitting in a chair with his face covered in a scarf. The film shows him attempting to throw a stick at the drone in a futile attempt to knock it down. At this stage, the Israeli military spokesman, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, said that Sinwar was only identified as a fighter, but troops entered and found him with a weapon, a flak jacket, and 40,000 shekels, which is like $10,000 apparently, according to them. 10,731. He tried to escape, and our forces eliminated him. Hamas has not made any comment itself, but sources within the group have said that the indications that have been suggested that Sinwar was killed was indeed suggests that Sinwar was indeed killed by Israeli troops. The dozens of operations carried out by the IDF and the ISA over the last year and the recent weeks in the area where he was eliminated restricted Yahya Sinwar's operational movement as he was pursued by forces that led to his elimination. Okay, so, all right, so they said they found him with a gun. They didn't imply if it was empty or not, but it seems odd because I do not see a gun anywhere. And there were reports that said that he had died with a couple of his buddies, but I don't see anybody else here. And he threw a stick. Wouldn't it make more sense to try to shoot the drone than just throw a little stick at it? That doesn't make any much sense to me. But yeah, the build of this person doesn't look right. They look a little thin. But anyway. But you're going to love this because you know that Israel has been after Anwar teachers and schools, claiming they all work for Hamas. Well, I'm about to show y'all something. Passport of Anwar teacher found on the body of Sinwar. Well, that seems odd. I feel like they're doing this to make you think that the UN is with Sinwar or helping him. But first off, that doesn't sound like it to me, because if anything else, it sounds like Sinwar could have taken this guy's passport or tried to use it. But I feel like they're trying to imply that there is some kind of close connection with UN and Hamas. But hold on. A passport belonging to an Anwar teacher was reportedly found in the body of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar after he was killed. Photo published by Israel's Channel 12 showed a document belonging to a teacher with the UN aid agency, which Israel's been trying to stop them from doing their job, named Hani Zorob, along with other items that were recovered by IDF troops. The 40-year-old teacher was, however, not in Gaza at the time of Sinwar's death on Thursday, following a shootout with Israeli forces on the outskirts of Rafah. The passport expired in 2017, and the Telegraph has been unable to independently verify where it was discovered. So that seems odd that a passport that expired in 2017 was found on a fresh body. That sounds very weird to me. Mrs. Zarob moved to Egypt in April, raising questions about how his old passport fell into the hands of Sinwar and his entourage. Again, in that picture, I didn't see an entourage with him. The IDF said 2 other terrorists were killed in the gun battle. After Mr. Zorob's passport was found, Philippe Lazarani, UN's Commissioner General, issued a statement calling it unchecked information used to discredit the agency. That I agree. I confirmed that the staff member in question is alive. He currently lives in Egypt, where he's traveled with his family in April through the Rafah border. Time to put an end to the disinformation campaigns. And I agree. And I am going to show you one of the things that irks me about this. So I wish I could make it a little bigger. Actually, I could probably make it bigger. I took a picture of this earlier, and I used my Google Lens. Let me just check the thing real quick. Hey, Digital Pollution. I do not remember how to pronounce that name. But hi, Bragari. Hold on a second. People point out that he wasn't hiding in exactly, or using human shields. Exactly. Yeah, if he had a weapon, I'm sure he would have shot at it. But got a little hairball going. Anyway, but I'm going to show y'all this. So I used my Google Lens to translate some of this, and I took some pictures, so it just makes it easier to see. That's bizarre. All right. So hopefully y'all can see this. Let me make sure. I'm looking at my live stream to check. All right, good. So this is with Google Lens. You can see the detect language to English. So it says travel permit. So what is this up here? Because I looked it up, and what's supposed to be at the top of a passport like this is supposed to say Palestinian Authority. And I'll show you the picture of that. And this stuff over here is not filled out either. So I thought that was kind of strange. It's in Arabic and in English. And this is showing the English translation right next to it. But it's not actually filled out. The expiry date, I don't see an expiry date unless that's under here. But why would they hide that it expired in 2017? Why would they hide that? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, a lot of this seems kind of odd. Like Mirits. What's Mirits? I don't know what that is. But I don't know who. Yeah, it's kind of, the whole thing seems kind of sketchy. And I found what the picture is actually supposed to look like. So it's written here and filled out here. Typed in, filled in. There's supposed to be a signature here. Up here says the Palestinian Authority. So this is what the passports are actually supposed to look like. They have the right bird and everything, but the way it's filled out and laid out is not correct. And I find that super suspicious. Actually, I'll show you all that in a minute. Oh, I'm going the wrong way with this, aren't I? Apparently, I'm going the wrong way all over the place. Shit. Oh, also, they were talking about how he escaped through the tunnels a few hours. Oh, hi, BZ. How are you, darling? Bree or whatever you said is fine. Yeah, I don't remember what I said. I think I said Brigari. But hi, Bree. How are you? Or Bri. I'm not sure which one to go with on that. Maybe Bri. Yeah, we'll go with Bri. But also, I'm sure y'all have seen the footage they released of Sinwar supposedly sneaking out a few hours before the October War started. So we're going to look at something. Maybe. There we go. I don't know if y'all can see this, but it has the timestamp of the camera. And it all looks okay, except that the 7th, because it's October 7th, 2023, which is weird because don't they have, I think America is one of the few places that does it in that order, 10/07/2023. Usually it's backward where it'd be 07 here or something. Usually the layout is different in other countries, but whatever. What I find super interesting, let's zoom in as best we can. The 7 for October 7th is a different color than the rest of these. So the 7 is white, and the rest of the timestamp is a uniform black color. So take note of that, and also take note, same shirt. They're saying that he was sneaking out with his wife and kids on a few hours before October 7th kicked off. And he's got his flat screen TV, they said, which I think is kind of weird because I was escaping right before some crazy shit went down. I really don't feel like my flat screen TV would be a priority, but whatever. So, all right, it says October 7th here, even though you can see the 7 has been edited and changed. Oh, for fuck's sake, this thing never, cut me. Why does it not do it in fucking order? Jesus. And see, same shirt. And then you got in military time, but here it says the 6th. The 6th is also in white, and the rest of it is a uniform black color. So the 6th and the 7th has been digitally altered. And this guy who tweeted this is a Israeli soldier. Don't know what he does in the military, but there's his fucking, Twitter name. So let's look at this real quick. Oh, I guess I just got that part. While people in Gaza do not have enough money for a tent or basic necessities, whose fault was that? We see many examples of Yahya Sinwar and his wife's special love for money, which is weird because they're making them sound so terrible because they have a love of money. But Yahya Sinwar is not the reason why people in Gaza don't have hardly money for anything. So that's kind of wild. But yeah, here we go. Yeah, you can see that the 6th is white when the rest of it is black. That makes no fucking sense. And the 7th. So it's been altered. So since this is basically showing that it has been altered digitally, how can we know that when this was ever taken? I mean, it looks like sinwar, sure. But, a lot of 61-year-old guys looking down could probably look about the same. But let's say it is him. This could have happened at any point, because if this has been digitally altered, then this isn't proof. This isn't evidence of anything. This could have been, any date could have been here before, and they changed it. So I find that so wild. Also, they're trying to make his wife sound bad by saying that she had a Birkin bag that was worth $32,000. But Birkin or some other people came out and they were like, that's not one of our purses, and showed a side-by-side of what their actual purse, their Hermes bag looked like. So I thought that was kind of wild. But yeah, the dates are wrong. So when you see those articles, like, feel free to look around and see how many of this image right here of him in the tunnel, and look closely at the dates and see if some of them vary. And I think that's kind of interesting. It says a screenshot of a video released by the IDF on October the 19th, so yesterday. I think they've had this apparently since October 7th, according to this, and they still did a terrible job editing. Like, they've had a whole year to lie properly, and they still can't fucking do it correctly. They still fuck up their editing. They must have a preteen kid doing photo editing in there. Like, you got to be shitting me. So, yeah. I can go ahead and get rid of that. That was just a sample of the thing. So, yeah, you notice the dates on that are different. So, yeah. I knew there was something wrong. I'm sure there's other things wrong with it, but, I feel like the date being altered is enough for me. Let's see. Let me read up here. Well, thank you and yourself. I'm doing all right. I hope you're doing good. Of course, the time is 9:11. What? Shit. I gotta go back. It shouldn't be. It should be 1 something in the image. Hold on. Wait, is that 1044? Like, I don't do well with this, so I actually don't know what time this is right here. Someone said you're supposed to take away 12, but my brain's not fucking getting it. Like, I just don't know if that time matches up with this. Actually, hold on. Let me look at something else real quick. Yeah, the Friday. So it's Friday the 6th on this, and then the other one says Saturday the 7th. So, I mean, that technically lines up, but the fact that the timestamp's been altered at all is pretty shitty. Anyway, on the article in English. I wish I had a way to translate that. I did not. Hey. Let's see. Actually, I think I do have a TikTok video to show that's supposed to show Sinwar's death. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you now. All right, let me back this up. Um, how do I make this bigger? Okay, there we go. Let me hide the little thing right there. There we go. Yeah, the stick he threw. And it looks like he's missing his hand at the wrist. Or partially, because I can't tell if that's the hand right there, but the hand also looks oddly long. But there seems to be blood there, so I'm kind of not sure. Yeah, there seems to be some photo editing running around online. Like I said, that makes the eyes that do show through the scarf to look like a very young man. So I don't know. But I feel like they just kind of gave some Bin Laden bullshit where, they just took his body away and showed us some bullshit pictures. All right, next article. Donald Trump blames Zelensky for Ukraine war. That is fucking hilarious, and honestly, I've been waiting for somebody to do that. He's such an annoying, weaselly little creature. I fucking dislike him so much. Donald Trump has blamed Zelensky for the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Republican presidential candidate said the Ukraine leader, 46, should never have allowed the war to happen. Speaking to the podcasters Patrick David, he said, I think Zelensky is one of the greatest salesmen I've ever seen. Well, that's one way to fucking phrase it. Every time he comes in, we give him $100 billion. Who else got that kind of money in history? There has never been. And that doesn't mean that I don't want to help him because I feel very badly for those people. But he should never have let that war start. That war is a loser. Ukraine, remember, it's not Ukraine anymore. Okay. Trump added, speaking to the PVD podcast, that Ukraine's cities have been knocked down to the ground, adding it looked like a demolition crew went through, which is weird because I've seen people like having gone over to Ukraine and showing like the place they're in, and like there's no sign of war anywhere, not in the major areas, but and they're talking about it looking like a wrecking crew went through. You know what looks like a wrecking crew went through? Gaza does. If we had a president with half a brain, it would have been easy to settle before it started. So I think it's hilarious he is saying that Zelensky doesn't have half a brain. I fucking love that. I love that. Trump has repeatedly blamed Russia would not have invaded Ukraine if he was serving in the White House. He also previously said that the people are dead and the country is in rubble. The former president also claimed that he would be able to negotiate the end of the long-running conflict if he is reelected, although he has not gone into details about the strategy. All right. Blah. Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th, 2022, triggering the largest land war on European soil since the Second World War. Really? Doesn't seem like that big of a mess, but I don't know. Trump has repeatedly complained about the U.S. military support for the war-torn nation on the campaign trail. Thank God. He has also previously suggested that Mr. Zelensky was at fault for the war mounted by Vladimir Putin. The former president's latest remarks come after a new book fueled concerns over his relationship with the Russian leader. When Trump met Zelensky last month at Trump Tower, the American said that he had a very good relationship with Putin. It was then reported by Bob Woodward, a veteran journalist, that Trump had spoken to Putin as many as 7 times since losing the 2020 election. In his book, War, Mr. Woodward also claimed that Trump had sent American COVID tests to Moscow during the pandemic for Putin's personal use. Their apparent close relationship has been used by Kamala Harris's campaign to suggest Trump would force Ukraine to cede land in the peace deal if he wins the upcoming election. Yeah, because poor Zelensky and all the other people who are laundering money, if it stops, then all those billions of dollars stop. Aww. Fuck them. Like, you can't trust Woodward anymore. I don't trust any of them anymore. Federal judge rejects Trump's bid to delay release of special counsel documents in 2020 election subversion case. See, I don't like that because if Trump's is not being shitty, why is he hiding this? Why would he want to? Sorry. I always feel it's suspicious when someone tries to hide court documents like that. A federal judge has rejected Donald Trump's request to pause the public release of documents from the Justice Department in the 2020 election subversion case against him, saying that withholding it could be seen as election interference. Yeah, I agree. The former president's attorney asked Judge Tanya Chutkin to hold off on releasing the filings and appendix related to special counsel Jack Smith's expansive immunity filing, which laid out many details of the case against Trump, until after the November presidential election. I don't like that Trump wants to hide something until after the election. That's bullshit. That's fucking shiesty shit to do. I don't like that. The defense attorney argued that the case has already had an improper impact on the election, and a stay on the filing would promote public confidence in the court. If no stay was imposed, the attorney argued an asymmetrical release of charged allegations and related documents during early voting creates a concerning appearance of election interference. Chutkin, in her opinion and order, said that the very opposite was true. If the court withheld information that the public otherwise had a right to access solely because of the potential political consequence of releasing it, that withholding could itself constitute or appear to be election interference. I agree. I absolutely, yes. So yeah, this guy is absolutely fucked, and the judge is correct. Yeah, I don't trust anybody who wants to hide stuff until after an election. What is this? Oh, this guy. So this is the guy that was most recently blamed for an assassination attempt. That was at that rally, and supposedly he had like a fake license plate, a bunch of passports, a bunch of IDs, all that fucking shit. Well, this guy is saying that's not true about him. So it is not going to let me make the captions bigger. Motherfucker. Hopefully you'll be able to see the captions. You may have to turn your camera sideways or your phone sideways. Let's start this over so y'all can read it. Oh, it's no audio because I don't want to get in trouble for playing Fox News's thing and then get me for like a copyright hit. So basically, I think he's planning on suing them for making him sound like a would-be assassin at the Trump rally. And I wonder how many things like this happen that they don't speak out. Next article. Jill Stein hurts Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris. Believable. That's probably why Oklahoma didn't have her on the ballot. A new poll suggests that the Green Party's presidential candidate Jill Stein is drawing more voters from President Trump than Vice President Kamala Harris. Yeah. Oklahoma doesn't have her on the ballot, or I'd vote for her. I'm just trying to figure out how I can file a complaint. We don't even have write-ins. So I can't even write in Jill Stein's name. According to the Noble Predictive Insight survey released last week, Harris holds a narrow lead over Trump in a hypothetical three-way race. With Stein on the ballot, Harris' lead expands, pointing to a potential spoiler effect similar to the way many Democrats blamed Stein for doing to Hillary in 2016. And people think Stein's no good. Come on now. She helped stop Hillary. That's important. The poll shows Harris leading Trump 49% to 47%. However, with Stein in the race, shows Harris leading. I think I said something else. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. The poll shows Harris leading Trump 49 to 47%. However, with Stein in the race, Trump's support dips to 46%, while Harris maintains her 49% backing, suggesting that Stein draws more support from Trump than from Harris. Though Stein's voter base remains relatively small at about 1%, it could prove crucial in an election that hinges on the tight margins in swing states. The poll surveyed 2,300 likely voters and had a margin of error of give or take 2.1%. The dynamic mirrors concern from 2016 when Stein's candidacy was seen by many as siphoning votes from Clinton in pivotal states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, ultimately aiding Trump's victory. In Michigan, Trump beat Clinton by 10,704 votes. Stein received 51,463 votes in the state. In Pennsylvania, Trump beat Clinton by 44,292. Stein received 49,941. In Wisconsin, Trump beat Clinton by 22,748. And Stein received 31,072. The legacy of the election looms large over the 2024 contest, largely as Harris seeks to retain a coalition of voters that covers a vast political breadth, stretching from the former Republican President Dick Cheney to progressive independent Senator Bernie Sanders. I don't think Dick Cheney is really like anything to brag about. The dude's fucking nuts. You don't have write-ins? I don't know. Our state likes to be assholes. They want elections they can control. Sorry. They do what they can to stop candidates. Like when I was running for office, and this is part of the reason why I did it, so I could see what was going on. Our governor, he sent out surveys to see what people thought of the candidates, to see, I guess, kind of see what his chances were. And so, yeah, himself, his Democrat counterpart, I forget her fucking name. She's kind of a dumbass. She reminds me of Nikki Haley. And I think one or two other people that run. There was like 7 altogether running, which is crazy. Well, it was like 5. I think it might have been. I think it was 5 people running for governor. I think 7 was something else. But and my name and like someone else's name was kept off that survey. Isn't that wild? One of the people that received the survey contacted me on TikTok and told me that he had sent a survey out and my name was not on there. So I think he wanted to make sure I just wasn't known about, and he wasn't going to put anything out there with my name on it, because if someone didn't know about me, this would let them know I existed, and that could ruin it for him. They also, I feel like it's cheating. They also cheated with the Republican Party decided they were not going to accept voters that were independent, Republican only. Independent voters weren't allowed to vote for governor. I mean, they'd have to vote for an independent candidate. They couldn't vote for a Republican. Their votes wouldn't be accepted. And so, yeah, they claimed it was to stop rhinos from voting Republican rhinos in, which I think is horse shit. So, yeah. So yeah, they did not put Jill Stein on the ballot because they don't want us to have options. They want us to have a nice big fucking option that's like big and obvious looking, and then like a second obvious looking one, and just try to keep it between the two. That way they can control the election. This is being done on purpose. This week, Stein received an endorsement from David Duke, a former Ku Klux Klan leader. Duke, who is known as a white supremacist, endorsed Stein over Trump, citing her criticism of the U.S. policy in Israel as the reason. See, nah, because nobody looks good being endorsed by David Duke. And David Duke had endorsed Trump at one point, I think. So, yeah, the only reason why David Duke is doing this is because, yeah, he's trying to make Stein look bad. So he's endorsing her to make her look bad. There is nothing about Jill Stein that would encourage a white supremacist to vote. She's pro-Palestine. She's pro a whole bunch of stuff that David Duke would not like. So, yeah, he's just doing this to make her look bad. So, fuck David Duke. Oh, Stein has unequivocally rejected the endorsement. That's it. Calling Duke a racist troll on social media. That's my girl. That's right. Nevertheless, the attention surrounding the endorsement has cast a shadow over Stein's campaign. Yep, that's about what I fucking figured. She's starting to do better than they thought she would. And they even went to the trouble of spending money. The Democrat Party spent money on a campaign commercial to try to knock her down, knock Jill Stein down. They wouldn't bother. Hi, Night Breeze. Mwah. How are you? But my brain. Give me a minute. But yeah, it casts a shadow over Stein's campaign. The Democrat Party has spent money making commercials and like ads to knock Jill Stein back a little bit. Now, I think this is one of the first times I think they said that a Democrat Party has wasted money trying to knock down a third-party candidate. Usually they don't see them as a threat enough to do so. So apparently, I guess they figured the commercial might not be enough, so they probably paid David Duke to endorse her to make her look bad. But anybody who knows anything about Jill Stein, they know she's not a white supremacist or a racist. So that's fucking dumb. David Duke's public break from Trump marks a reversal of his 2016 and 2020 endorsements, accusing Trump of being too closely aligned with Israel. I mean, correct, but still, he should know that his name being attached to a candidate does not look good. He knows that. This development, while unlikely to influence a large number of voters, may sway far-right or national segments of Trump's base who felt alienated by his foreign policy stance. For Trump, the emergence of Stein as a potential spoiler may be a critical factor in the battleground states, where even a small rift in votes could determine the outcome. For Harris, Stein's candidacy could paradoxically provide an unexpected advantage, drawing votes from Trump and narrowing his pathway to victory. I'm so pissed. I'm still pissed off about Oklahoma doing that. I'm finer than a frog's hair. That's awesome. Glad. But yeah, I'm so mad at Oklahoma for not having Jill Stein on the thing and not even letting me able to write it in. But they know that if they have give a third party much of a chance, they could take away from their Democrat and Republican votes, because Democrat and Republican are oftentimes two cheeks to the same ass. And I stand by that. GOP cringes over Trump's vow to wield military against opponents. Well, I'm glad this something finally got the GOP to cringe. Fucking finally. This is something the guy I was arguing last night was also talking about. He kept saying, yeah, I want all the political prisoners released. I think he means the January 6th folks, which I get that. But then he goes, we need to release all the political prisoners. And then he said, we need to round up all the liberals and stuff and throw them in jail. I'm like, so you want to release political prisoners and then incarcerate more political prisoners? I'm like, do you know you can't throw people in jail for an ideology? He didn't want to hear it though, because he had been awake for 36 hours and he was hammered drunk. I'm like, fuck. Anyway, former President Donald Trump's incendiary comments about deploying the military and using other powers of the executive branch to pursue his political enemies included a sitting member of Congress. Ooh, I didn't know about that. Is putting down ballot Republican candidates on the defensive. GOP strategists have said for months that the fates of Senate and House Republican candidates are largely tied to Trump's performance. Republicans have grown more optimistic about their prospects of capturing the Democrat-held Senate seats in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin as Trump has gained ground in Vice President Harris on her in those states. My ability to breathe is a little worse today than normal. But Trump's provocative comments about deploying the military to handle the enemy from within and radical lefts. And notice it's and. He's not necessarily saying the enemy within is the radical left. He's separating those. So, but basically American citizens, which I feel like is a super violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. I don't know why it's not letting me highlight that. Oh, okay, I know it. Did you hear about Donald Trump praising Arnold Palmer's junk? No, I did see part of an article when I was looking up other stuff, and it said something about Arnold Palmer, but I didn't. I think he's a golf guy, so I didn't really read into it. I just skipped over it. But he was praising dude's junk? That's fucking weird. Wow, okay. All right, so yeah, okay. So handling the enemy within and radical left lunatics, such as Representative Adam Schiff, Democrat in California, a prosecutor during Trump's first impeachment trial, had put Republican candidates in an awkward spot. Yeah, it does. He certainly makes it difficult for down ballot Republicans. Sorry. Hello, issue going. Because people in the media will continually ask them to react to something outrageous Donald Trump has said when they really want to concentrate on their own race and their own message. Donald Trump defends his comments during a Fox News town hall that aired Wednesday. I thought it was a nice presentation. That wasn't unhinged, he told Fox News Harris Faulkner, who the host played the clip of the controversial remarks. It's the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick. I thought communists and fascists had used to fight each other. I don't know. These people, they're sick. They're evil, he said, singling out Schiff and former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I get that one. I mean, that one makes sense. I can't lie. A Republican strategist who requested anonymity to comment candidly on Trump's remark called them a problem for candidates down ballot. It would be really disturbing to most Republican legislators if that were to occur, because that's not how we work as a country. That's not how we behave as a democracy. This strategist said of deploying the military against political enemies. I agree. The idea of the fact that he even is trying to run for office and said that, like, who told him that was a good idea to say? And only the extreme right think that's a good idea. Anybody who's like normal does not find it okay for a government to send military after people who politically don't agree with you. That's insanity. Hold on. Arnold Palmer was big in the 60s. He is dead. Don bragged about his strength of the course and men. Oh, wow. That is fucking weird, Putin Cat. That is really fucking weird. All right, next article. This, man, but I heard about this. Now, don't get me wrong, I am pro-life, but the fact that this had to happen. Judge orders DeSantis administration to stop threats over abortion ads. So, yeah. DeSantis has been wanting to, basically prosecute or fine TV stations for running ads that are pro-abortion. I feel like that's a violation of the First Amendment. A federal judge in Florida on Thursday ordered the state to stop threatening TV stations with criminal charges that they run political ad in support of the referendum that would repeal the state's 6-week abortion ban. Sorry. I had to go get my inhaler. You gotta be kidding. All right. Sorry about that. Proponents of the Amendment 4 sued the state on Wednesday after letters from the Florida Department of Health to broadcast. State. All right. Sorry, I don't know. I'm tired of my reading this shit today. All right. Proponents of Amendment 4 sued the state on Wednesday over letters from the Florida Department of Health to broadcast stations around the state threatening criminal proceedings if they ran ads. The U.S. District Chief Judge Mark Walker said that the state's actions amount to unconstitutional coercion and a violation of the First Amendment. Yep. Whether it's a woman's right to choose or the right to talk about it, Walker wrote, the First Amendment prohibits the state of Florida from trampling on abortion right proponents' freedom of speech. I was so surprised that he actually was trying to bring charges against TV stations. TV stations only they get paid to run ads. So it doesn't even necessarily mean that it reflects the view of the TV station. But the fact that he was going to try to bring criminal charges is insane. Absolutely insane. This guy, he is like such a pick-me. Like, he so wanted Trump to fucking love on him. He's trying to be as extreme as he possibly can. He looks unhinged. Next article. Oh boy. Oh, here we go. Israel announces the Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was killed in Gaza Thursday. Hamas will no longer rule Gaza, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said. So let's make this a wee bit bigger. Again, it says auto-generated. So something's changed where I can't make the captions bigger anymore. I don't know what's happened. But let's rewind it and read it. Just to back this up a small bit, I just want to look at something real quick. I think it's interesting. Most of those are about the same person. The guy right here, 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 and here. If over 100 hostages still are, if that's still a thing, then why is it like 4 or 5 of these all the same person? Like, that seems kind of odd to me, because we had a little countdown video a while back that showed that the math showed that there shouldn't be any more hostages left. And that's just judging by the math Israel has released in articles over time. But, all right, let's play the video. Oh, Putin cat. It costs way more than 50,000 people. Way more. I did a live stream that was calculating the math, and they approximate that 41,000 targets have been bombed. So, and sometimes they drop 1 or 2 bombs per target. But like I said in that live stream, let's just say that it was 1 bomb per target, 41,000 bombs. And they were trying to say that it was like around 40,000 bombs. There's like 41,000 people dead. So that would imply that almost 1 bomb per person, which seems statistically unlikely when you're bombing city centers and crowded buildings. But what was it? If it was 5 people, if the bombs got 5 people each time a bomb dropped, and that's lowballing, that would make it 200,000 people dead. If we went up to 5 people died each time Israel dropped a bomb, that would be 400,000 people dead. So when they're telling us that it's like 50,000 or less, they're lying to us. They started lying and trying to hide it around, I think, last December, going into January. They decided they were not going to give us the death count anymore. And that's always a bad sign. Because if the news broadcasted that Israel had killed 200 or 400,000 people, people would start to freak out. And they don't want people freaking out at those numbers. Secretary Lloyd Austin's a piece of shit, I must say. Oh, so they think it's now down to 60 hostages. Yep. I absolutely do not believe so. I don't know what kind of weird shit that was. Let me see if I can find the little countdown video that I had. Okay. So downloads. Is there any way I can tell it to only look for certain things? I guess not. See if I can find the video. I don't know if these are all pictures or if there's actually video in this or not. This might be. What is this? It's a picture. Let me see if I can figure out how to sort by type. Let me do it again. Not really give me the option. Maybe it's somewhere else. Give me a second. I don't think I would have got rid of it. No, not there. Is it? Nope. That's one of my intros. Oh, it's not going to let me sort. I do not know. Okay. What? Oh, fuck. Okay, that's kind of weird. So it looks like that video got damaged. That kind of pisses me off because I had like a really informative little video there. Yeah, it looks like my video disappeared. They had the little countdown on it. That's kind of lame, actually. Sometimes stuff disappears out of my computer. I've noticed that. Aw, thank you. Well, we're glad you came by. Sorry. Now, what is this? Oh, yes. And but the guy who I was arguing with, when he was like talking about there being dancing Palestinians during 9/11, I was like, no, those dancing Israelis. And he was like, no, it's not. Like, okay. I think this is it. So let's for fuck's sake. Oh, full screen, there we go. Actually, hold on. I think I have to share it in a different way to make sure that y'all can hear it. So, share screen. Share. There we go.
Are art students from the University of Jerusalem and Bezalel Academy. They repeatedly made contact with U.S. government personnel, the report says, by saying they wanted to sell cheap art or handiwork. Documents say they, quote, targeted and penetrated military bases, the DEA, FBI, and dozens of other government facilities, and even secret offices and unlisted private homes of law enforcement and intelligence personnel. The majority of those questioned, quote, stated they served in military intelligence, electronic surveillance intercept, and or explosive ordnance units. Another part of the investigation has resulted in the detention and arrests of dozens of Israelis at American Mall kiosks, where they've been selling toys called Puzzle Car and Zoomcopter. Investigators suspect a front. Shortly after the New York Times and Washington Post reported the Israeli detentions last month, the carts began vanishing. Zoomcopter's webpage says, we are aware of the situation caused by thousands of mall carts being closed at the last minute. This in no way reflects the quality of the toy or its saleability. The problem lies in the operator's business policies. Why would Israelis spy?
Is the sound not playing? Putin cat. Did the sound not share? Oh, it did? Okay. Phew.
In and on the U.S.? A General Accounting Office investigation referred to Israel as Country A and said, quote, according to a U.S. intelligence agency, the government of Country A conducts the most aggressive espionage operation against the U.S. of any U.S. ally. A defense intelligence report said Israel has a voracious appetite for information and, quote, the Israelis are motivated by strong survival instincts which dictate every facet of their political and economic policies. It aggressively collects military and industrial technology, and the U.S. is a high priority target. The document concludes, quote, Israel possesses the resources and technical capability to achieve its collection objectives. A spokesman for the the Israeli embassy here in Washington issued a categorical denial, saying any suggestion that Israelis are spying in or on the U.S. is, quote, simply not true. There are other things to consider, and in the days ahead, we will take a look at the U.S. phone system and law enforcement's methods for wiretaps, and an investigation into the possibility that both have been compromised.
There we go. All right. I definitely wanted to get that video seen. So just in case the guy I argued with last night tries to claim that Israelis have not done any kind of infiltrating, no kind of nothing. Like, I wish everybody would start minding their business, stop turning everything into a spy film and espionage. It's crazy. I mean, just peeking over occasionally just to make sure they're not about to fuck you up is cool. But, like, all this infiltration and subversion and all this crazy shit. Oh, man. All these unnecessary wars just to make money. Let's see. Oh. This is an article from the other day, and I guess I forgot to share it. So let me get back over here and share screen real quick. And this can be our last article for the evening. Let's see. America trained him to fight, then he turned against it. More like him are being radicalized. Could be that our government is shit. The U.S. military trained him in explosives and battlefield tactics. Now the Iraq War veteran and enlisted National Guard member was calling for taking up arms against police and government officials in his own county. Oh, his own country. Fuck yeah. Standing at the North Carolina woods, Chris Arthur warned about a coming civil war. Videos he posted publicly on YouTube bore the titles such as The End of America or The Next Revolutionary War. In his telling, the U.S. was falling into chaos and there would only be one way to survive. Yikes. Kill or be killed, apparently. Arthur was posting during a surge of far-right extremism in years leading up to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. He wrote warcraft training manuals to help others organize their own militias. Sounds a good community man. And he offered sessions at his farm in Mount Olive, North Carolina, that taught how to kidnap and attack public officials, use snipers and explosives, and design a fatal funnel booby trap. I don't know what I almost want to Google this and find out what this is, but I also don't want the NSA to come knock on my door because they might not understand why I looked that up. But apparently a fatal funnel booby trap to inflict mass casualties. That sounds wild. I don't know what the fuck that is. While he continued to post publicly, military and law enforcement ignored more than a dozen warnings phoned in by Arthur's wife's ex-husband. Wait, why is Arthur's wife's ex-husband getting his fucking nose into shit? Salty bastard. About Arthur's increasingly violent rhetoric and calls for murder of police officers. This great failure by the Guard, the FBI, and others to act allowed Arthur to continue to manufacture and store explosives around young children and train other extremists who would attack police officers in New York State and lead them on a wild 2-hour chase and a gun battle. I mean, it's probably not good to have explosives around kids, but I mean, I'm not necessarily mad at the rest of it. I'm going to be honest. Arthur isn't an anomaly. He is among more than 480 people with military backgrounds accused of ideologically driven extremist crimes from 2017 through 2023, including more than 230 arrested in connection with the January 6th insurrection. I feel like something about this right here, like I don't remember which operation it is, because I think it's Operation Vigilant Eagle, I think, is the one where the government starts targeting veterans and considering them enemies of the state. But I feel like this is the propaganda toward it. Now, on one hand, it's easily understood that the military members probably realize how much they've been lied to, fucked over, treated like shit, put in danger, injured, and then not even properly cared for afterward. And then to find out it's just a rich man's war driven by the frickin' deep state and Red Shield and Rothschild shit, all of that. That would make anybody a little extreme, I think. But this is to try to get people freaking out about homegrown, and I do sarcastic quote marks, homegrown terrorism. Because if the country does fall into disarray, who do you think is going to try to help keep it at bay? It's probably going to be people like this. Probably. Because it's going to be the ones that know how. But yeah, they're trying to get you scared and make it more socially okay for this Operation Vigilant Eagle shit. Are you a prepper? I'm not really. I don't have the money to be. I do try to store my food when I can, but it wouldn't last a super long time with like other people living in the house and everything. But I try to never not have food in the house. So if shit does get bad for like a week or two, generally we'll be okay, maybe. But like much past that, we would probably be kind of fucked, I'm gonna be honest. I wish I had the money to be a prepper. I wish, but I do not have that sort of thing. I'm prepared if there's like a snowstorm and we're stuck at the house for like a week. Canned chicken and tuna. I do have that, but you have to rotate. My dad told me about stock rotation when I was a kid. So yes, I checked the bottom of the dates and put the more longer lasting shit or when it's going to expire long. I put it in the back and the older stuff up front. So I do that. I have been a good kitty with that. At the same time, while the pace at which the overall population has been radicalized increased in recent years, people with military backgrounds have been radicalized at a faster rate. Well, why do you think that is, people? There's a reason. It's because they've been seeing what's actually been happening. They see what the news reports to us, but they've seen what's actually going on. And maybe they broke out of their brainwash and realized this shit's bad. There's a reason why people who have seen shit are being radicalized faster. There's a reason for it. Their extremist plots were also more likely to involve weapons, training, or firearms than plots that didn't include someone with a military background. Well, no fucking shit. Duh. I know they're trying to make it sound like, ooh, he's so scary, he's so bad. No, it just makes fucking sense that he would be better with stuff he's been trained in. I feel like, according to an Associated Press analysis of domestic terrorism, there it is, data obtained exclusively by the Associated Press. This held true whether or not the plots were executed. While the number of people involved remains small, the participation the participation of active military and veterans gave extremist plots more potential for mass injury or death. According to the data collected in analysis by the National Consortium for a Study of Terrorism and Response to Terrorism at the University of Maryland, researchers found that more than 80% of extremists with military backgrounds identified with the far right, anti-government, or white supremacist ideology, with the rest split among far left, jihadists, or other motivations. See, I think this is absolute shit. Of course it's going to be anti-government, but look how they put the word anti-government in the same sentence with white supremacists. It does not make you a white supremacist to be against your government. So the fact that they're lumping this in, far right, anti-government, or white supremacists, and then you got your far left, jihadist, or other motivations. So they're trying to make you sound like one extreme or the other. You could just simply be tired of your government being absolute shit. In the shadow of the January 6th attack on the Capitol, led in part by veterans, veterans of the FBI, they had fucking nestled in there. And a closely contested presidential election, law enforcement officials have said that the threat from domestic violence extremists is one of the most persistent and pressing terror threats to the United States. However, despite the increasing participation in extremist activity posed by those with military experience, there is still no force-wide system to track it. And the Associated Press learned that the Defense Department researchers developed a promising approach to detect and monitor extremism that the Pentagon has chosen not to use. I feel it's unlikely that the Pentagon or some other facsimile thereof would not be using this to monitor. I feel like somebody is. Even if the Pentagon is not doing it, I feel like somebody definitely is. The person who wrote this sounds like they want the government to crack down on anti-government people and will blame the government for not doing what they could have to stop it. That's what this sounds like to me. As part of the investigation, the Associated Press vetted and added to the data and analysis provided by START and collected thousands of pages of records, hours of audio and video recordings through public records requests. Free of scrutiny in Mount Olive, Arthur stockpiled weapons, some of them with serial numbers scratched off to make them untraceable. He trained a pack of Doberman pinschers as guard dogs. He rigged his old farmhouse where he lived with his wife and 3 kids and 2 children from her previous marriage with improvised explosives, including a bomb hidden on the porch and wired to a switch inside. I feel like I hope that switch is like up high where the kids can't reach it. I have to say. As early as 2017, his wife's former husband had reported concerns about his children's safety to military, federal, and local authorities, according to call records and police records. All the while, Arthur continued growing his business and connecting with more like-minded individuals. In the early 2020, a man with a raging hatred for police and an interest in building a militia in Virginia came to the farm, eager to learn. Service members and veterans who radicalized make up a tiny fraction of the percentage point of the millions and millions who have honorably served their country. However, when people with military backgrounds radicalize, they tend to radicalize to the point of mass violence. See, I feel like that's kind of unlikely. I would like to think they'd be neater and tidier about it. Maybe these are people who got MK Ultra'd. This group found that among extremists, the number one predictor of being classified as a mass casualty offender was having U.S. military background. Oh yeah, there it is. That outranked mental health problems, that outranked being a loner, that outranked having a previous criminal history or substance abuse issues. So up here they're talking about how there's lots of people who have served honorably and everything, but then it goes right here that the number one predictor of being classified as a mass casualty offender is having a military background. So why don't you just say you just hate veterans? Just say that, because I feel like that's what you're saying. So fuck this person. The data tracked individuals with military background, most of whom were veterans, including involved in plans to kill, injure, or inflict damage for political, social, economic, or religious goals. Really, how many veterans are doing some shit for religious goals? I'm curious about that, because I feel like that's propaganda right there to make people who are religious look crazy. That's what I feel like. I feel like that's propaganda. I'm not a religious person myself, but you know, I'd like to think I had a what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of an outside view of this. While some violent plots in the data were unsuccessful, those that succeeded killed or hurt dozens of people. I wish it'd give us a list to show us examples of this. Since 2017, nearly 100 people have been killed or injured in these plots, nearly all in service of anti-government, white supremacist, or far-right agenda. So since 2017, they're saying nearly 100 people have been hurt or killed. So it could have been 2 people killed and like 98 injured. So they're just saying 100 people who have been hurt or injured. Oh, I'm sorry, killed or injured. And I don't know. No, it lasts like what? 8 years? But in the last 8 years, 100 people. That's honestly in 8 years. That's not a lot. And hell, I mean, 10 of those people could have been like in an accident on a way to a training course, and they'd probably count that. I would like to actually. I wonder if they're really referring to January 6th in this statistic right here, because I think a few people were injured at the Capitol. One lady was shot and killed. I wonder if they're adding those people into those numbers right there. They probably are. A month after people in tactical gear stormed the U.S. Capitol steps in the military-style stack formation on January 6th, a new Defensive Secretary, Lloyd Austin, addressed a long-festering problem. Lloyd Austin's a bitch. I'm just going to say that now. He ordered a force-wide stand-down to give time to local military commanders to discuss the issue with personnel. He impaneled a countering extremist activity working group to study and recommend solutions. Among the group's eventual recommendations was to clarify that what was prohibited under military ban on extremist activity. The revised policy, released December of 2021, now specifies that anti-government or anti-democratic actions are violation of the Uniform Code of Justice. Well, and what would they consider anti-government? you could simply say fuck the government, and they consider that anti-government. And it applies to all service members. So they're going to make sure that you have even less of an opinion than you had before. Some applauded the change, but military and political leaders had been concerned about extremists in the ranks for years after a wake-up call in 1995 when Army veteran and white supremacist, oh, for fuck's sake, there's no proof that he was a white supremacist, but whatever. But again, they're putting Army veteran, domestic terrorist, and white supremacist in the same fucking sentence again. There's a reason for that wording. All right, Kennedy McVeigh killed 168 people in the Oklahoma City bombing. And the Pentagon, the Department of Homeland Security, and a research arm of the U.S. Department of Justice have all funded START research. Yeah, and the reason why 168 people were killed in Oklahoma City's bombing was because the ATF knew there was going to be a bombing. There was repeated interviews when this first happened with people who were witnesses. And they said that there was bomb trucks, bomb squad people there an hour or so before the bomb went off. So they didn't warn anybody in the building to get out. The ATF knew the night before and paged their workers that basically don't show up. And they allowed the regular people in there to die. So when shit happens, I blame our government. So yeah. Bishop Garrison, a U.S. Army veteran and former senior advisor to Austin, led the working group to address extremism following January 6th and the widespread unrest in 2020 amid the COVID pandemic and racial reckoning. That's an interesting way to phrase that. We believe the vast majority of people who serve do so honorably, and this is a small group of individuals having an outsized impact. Maybe they have an outsized impact because it actually resonates with people. But we also still need to analyze data to ensure that our hypothesis is correct as supported by fact. Yet, a chief hurdle cited by the Pentagon's officials has been a lack of data. How to understand the scope of extremism in the ranks when there are millions of active duty service members all across branches. What's vexing about this is we don't have a great sense of the scope of the problem. Then Pentagon spokesman John Kirby told CNN in the weeks after January 6th. Many of these people work very hard to conceal their beliefs. We can't be the thought police. Well, that's true. The Pentagon did develop at least one way to detect extremist incidents across military branches and among civilians defense contractors, but isn't using it. I'd be curious to see what that is. They pretty much spy on us on everything. I'm curious what method they're not using. All right. The method was revealed in a research memo published the summer after January 6th that, until now, has not been released publicly. Oh, okay. I guess we're about to answer that question. American Oversight, a non-partisan watchdog group, obtained the memo through the Freedom of Information Act lawsuit it brought against the Pentagon and shared it with the Associated Press. In a project that began in September of 2020 and lasted till 2021, Department of Defense researchers studying inside threats and other security issues in the workforce developed a way to mine data from DoD security clearance database to identify white supremacist and extremist incidents. This database includes details from security incident reports filed by people who held security clearances, a wide swath of military population, civilian and contractors included. The operation identified hundreds of reported incidents of white supremacy and anti-government and other extremist activity over 20 years. The kind of internal red flags that could identify issues with service members. Yeah, I can't imagine how this might go wrong. Oh boy. Let's see. The researchers whose names were redacted wrote the results were a first step toward developing a way to identify incidents of extremism, and that method could be used in other DoD databases. So basically, it's a thing that, a few different posts you've posted here and there. It probably has an AI that will go through and see how often you post stuff that they don't like, and then probably give you a score on whether or not you're a threat, when you could just be a shit talker. While the research was shared among other departments in the DoD after January 6th, it never made it to Garrison, who was leading the Pentagon's extremism work group. He told the AP he called the oversight problematic given his and the working group's mission. I'm very surprised by the existence of this report. A defense official did not address why the report was not sent directly to the working group. In a statement, the official said the DoD is committed to understanding the root cause of extremism and ensuring such behavior is promptly and appropriately addressed and reported to the proper authorities. That sounds pretty close to thought police. And that department has enhanced its ability to track extremism allegations. Oh boy. Arthur's young children sat atop the blue plastic tub in his farmhouse porch in Mount Olive with their feet dangling as their sister tied their shoes. In the tub was an improvised bomb that Arthur had wired to a switch inside. I find it really unlikely that this guy not only has a huge plastic tub on his porch that's an explosive, but I really doubt that he's letting his kids just sit on the top of it. I think they're trying to make this guy sound crazy. This guy may not even exist. But I have never heard of anybody, no matter how crazy they were, they would have never let their kids just sit on top of in the tub that was an improvised bomb. Like, nobody's going to let their kids sit on that and having a switch just inside the door. No, whatever. Nope. No. They're trying to make this person sound crazy. And again, I don't even know if this guy is really a person they're talking about. But, nobody's going to do that. They would swing their feet, as kids do, and pop holes in it. Really? What? I wasn't very careful around the explosives, the older sister, the daughter of Arthur's wife and ex-husband, told the AP. The AP is not naming the children in the interview for the story because they are minors. You expect me to believe that anybody would let their kid sit on top of an improvised explosive and just, dangle their feet and pop holes into it? Not a single part of that makes any fucking sense. Can we just take a second to realize how fucking dumb that is? Nobody's going to let a kid sit on an improvised explosive. Nah. Now, it's possible the person doing the interview may have just assumed that was what was in the barrel or the tub. They may assume so. But there's no way that somebody's going to let their kids sit on an explosive and just poke holes in it. Nah. Get the fuck out of here. Who wrote this shit? Come on, let's go back up here. Who the fuck wrote this? A story by, they don't seem to have given a name to the actual reporter. Is it all the way down, maybe? Let me go see. Boy, this article goes for fucking ever. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the reporter didn't put their fucking name on this. I assume most reporters do. But a story via AP Newswire. Yeah. So I don't know who actually wrote that article, but they should be slapped in the face because that is so fucking stupid. And I don't believe a single bit of that. I mean, I was believing some of it, but yeah, you expect me to believe that kids are just sitting on explosive and just poking holes in it and the parents aren't saying anything about that? Come on now. You're dumb. There you go. Oh, apparently didn't completely click and paste. Sorry about that. Hopefully it works anyway, but it's missing a part. Anyway, well, I have gotten that out of my system. I've done bitching for the moment. So, tomorrow, I think I'm live stream tomorrow. Do I? Let me go up. I think I do. Actually, I have no idea. Different way to do this one. Grr. Yes, tomorrow at 7:10, we are going to be showing The Nightmare Before Christmas and The Wolfman. The one with Benicio del Toro in it, specifically. 2010, I think. Anyway, so yes, that's 7:10 Central Time. So yeah, we'll be showing a movie on the Cosme link, so hopefully we will see you there. I send lots of hugs to everybody. So hugs to Putin's cat and hugs to Miss Frosty, hugs to Daniel, hugs to Digital Pollution and Bri, and Beezy, of course. And of course, hugs to Frosty Broccoli. Can't ever forget you. And hello to Ricky, I guess. And of course, hugs to Night Breeze. So it was lovely having y'all. Always appreciate you. Mwah. My little music to play out.
Welcome to the ship show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, hey, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly